Hello everyone, welcome once again. In the last video, what we did is we created a project named HIMS, which is Hospital Information Management System, a dummy project for this tutorial. Then lastly, we migrated the database wherein these tables were created, and we also registered a user to successfully register and log in. So from now on, what we are going to do is to create a basic patient module. Let's get started, and please watch till the end of the video. If anything falls short and if you don't understand, please let us know in the comments. And in the starting, once again I'm reiterating this, that in the initial time or initial duration of the learning, you might feel it very complicated or not able, or you may not be able to understand. So please follow along and have patience, and we will learn together and things will start making sense. So let's cut this all and start the development. So what we are going to do is to open up the command terminal and browse through to the project directory, and our project is in HIMS folder, HIMS directory. So we are in the correct directory. Let's make this home page actually look good in the first place. So what we are going to do is to edit the home page. So we are going to create a migration. So there is a command for creating a migration. So we will collapse the artisan console. Not everything will collapse the head, and we'll. So I know what is the command for creating a migration, but still I want to show you how it is done from the documentation's perspective. So the command to create a model is PHP artisan make migration. This is the thing that I was looking for. I wanted to show it. So let's log in with the user that we have created. Let's type this into the command. PHP artisan make migration. We have logged in. Create, nothing fancy, patients, and nothing much to talk about. So table. Let's open a new terminal so that the previous node, so compiler and migration has been created, and we can confirm this. So let's create a migration for our patient's information table directly, and then also a model, and followed by a controller. So to create a migration, we have an artisan command about model, and I have created migration, and the name of the migration is create patients table, and we can verify that this migration has been created. Migrations are stored in the database directory and then migration subdirectory. And the next thing that we want to do is to create a model for this, where models directory is stored in the app folder. So let's assume that we have logged in successfully, or these provide data access objects to work. So let's create models. PHP artisan make model, and then patient, capital P, and not plural but singular name. So all the models generally have singular names. This is the terminology, though you can name it whatever you want, but this is the standard practice. So we have created a patient's model, we have created a migration, patient's migration, and the next thing that we want to do is to create a controller where all the requests and the business logic will reside. So PHP artisan make controller. So PHP artisan make controller, and the name of the controller. Now here we have flexibility. Let's say that we want to store a controller in a particular subdirectory. So controllers are stored in app, then followed by a subdirectory HTTP, and then subcontrollers. So normally controllers are just barely stored in this controllers directory. What I prefer is to do it little differently. and I place every controller that is responsible for handling general users in the front end directory, and then let's say that our application has a backend for our staff. Let's say that hospital staff has a different business logic than the general users, which usually is the case. So we will be placing these controllers separately so that the business logic is not hampered. So let's do that. Front end, and then the name of the controller, patients. Generally controllers names are in singular, plural. So front end patients controller. So as we can see that we have now created a patients front end directory and a patients controller. So everything is in place, and let's start working on the migration file. So first thing first, we will define the structure of our patients table. Our patients table, obviously every patient has a name, though our users table also has a name field, but I tend not to use it because we are going to take it to the next level where we will be taking name components differently. So table is string, we are telling the migration to use the variable character. Name is string, first name, and it will be a required field obviously, and we can also add nullable if a field is nullable, and so on and so forth. We can also add unique if our column is going to have a unique values, but that is not the case with us, so we will move. Let's say we have middle name, and then this middle name is going to be nullable because everybody doesn't have a middle name. Then we are going to have last name, and last name will be obviously last name, and this will also be a nullable field. So these fields will not be required ones. And let's say that after names we want to have a field for gender. We can also use enum, but for now I'm going to have it as a string. After that we may want to have, let's say, date for date of birth, DOB. This may be a nullable field, and in some scenarios where patients, like old patients, don't have their date of birth, don't remember their date of birth, there may be a case so where in those scenarios we can use a string or integer for age field. And if someone has provided the DOB, we can obviously compute the age, or vice versa. Though not very much required, but let's add it for now. So this will be a nullable field once again. We may add the social security number. Let's say we want to have a field to store social security number of a patient. Let's put this short SSN. This field will also be nullable because everybody may not have a social security number. And we also want to add some comments to this, because let's say that next time everybody comes to this application, wants to debug and don't know what is the field SSN defined for. So let's add a comment for this. Social security number. That's it. And then let's say we may want to store phone numbers and so on and so forth. Let's say that we want to add a long text field for that matter, text, bio or history, whatever you might like to have. Once again, we'll keep this field as nullable. Mobile phone also to be a nullable field, and we would like to add one important field, soft delete, I think. Soft delete, I think. So by and large we have completed our migration, but once the information for the patients is stored, there is no way we can trace back that who is the user, what is the user model associated with this patient. So we will add a field table unsigned, I think big integer, unsigned big integer is the method name to create a integer field for foreign keys. So we are going to add a user ID field so that a patient can be linked with the logged in user. And let's say that if a user is not directly creating his or her own account, let's say that office staff adds an account, so we will also add a field for unsigned big integer added by. So this field will be storing the IDs of the user who added this patient. So in the case of where patient directly registers, then the user ID and the added by ID will be the same of the user, but different in the case where, let's say, office or the hospital staff adds the patient information. So that's it for now. So I think by and large our migration is complete, and let's rerun the migration and see if everything goes smoothly. So PHP artisan migrate, okay, soft delete, okay, we have spelled it wrong, soft delete. What now? Line number 31, it says there is an error. Okay, it is deletes. Okay, so it has migrated successfully, and let's browse to the database through phpMyAdmin, and we can see that we have created our table structure successfully, and we have all the fields that we have desired for first name, middle name, last name, gender, date of birth, age, social security number, and you can also see that the comment we have added is also present, mobile, bio, and everything. So our migration is complete and we have successfully created our table structure. Let's move on to working on the model. So in the model, what we want to do is to add some relations. So let's create a relation user. This belongs to user class. So every patient or any patient can belong to a user model. Similarly, we can also add this relation, forward relation, into the users model also. Patient, this has one patient class. So our why is that? Okay, so this way we can access the patient associated with the user ID, or a patient or a user ID associated with the patient. So our basic definition of the patient's model is also complete. What we want to do, one more thing we want to add is the soft delete straight, so that we have that feature. Soft deleting is the mechanism in Laravel wherein whenever you delete a record, it is actually not removed from the database, but in fact it is marked as deleted. So the database deleted at column will have a date and time when the when the record was deleted, but it will not be actually deleted, so that in the event if you want to retrieve back that user, or you want to restore that user or a record, you can do that, and we will discuss that in the later part of this series. So we have completed, and let's move on to the controllers side. So what we will do is create our first method in the controller. This method will be handling the presentation part of the detail, where we will show the patient detail to the patient itself. So for that we will need two things. One thing, that we have to create a view for that, and then we will return that view. So let's create that view. Let's add that component, return view, and the name of the view will be index view, but it will be housed in the front end directory, which we are going to create in a while. Front end dot patients. So dot is the notation used for the subdirectory. So it means that the patients folder will be housed in front end directory, and in turn front end directory will be housed in the views directory in the resources folder. Patients and then index. So let's go and create that views. We are going to create a folder first, that is front end. So front end directory will have all the views presented to the general users. So front end, and then we will create a patients directory, and then we will create a view index dot blade. Blade is the templating engine used by the Laravel. So this is what I was talking about. So we will save these files, and nothing is there. So what we are going to do is that we add certain syntax at extends layouts.app first. So what we are telling our application to use app template defined in the layouts folder, and we will create a section, add section I think content, and we also have to close these every section that we create. End section defines that our section has ended. So what section does is that whatever you write or whatever content you place, so will be replaced. What this index dot blade will do is that once it is rendered by the view engine, it will first of all it will extends mean that it will take this layout and place whatever the sections, whatever the content that these sections have, replaced with the that content here, and then return this entire view. So this is what it means. So let's say that we have a patient, and that patient comes from the database and it is rendered. So for now, since we don't have any patient, we will just plain write, and once we have a record, we will come back and update this. So let's say that we have a card to display the information of the patient, card header, and then patient's information will be available here. So let's try to access. Obviously we don't have a route, so to access this first controller and first view, what we need to do is to define a route now, obviously. So let's go to the routes directory and open up the web routes, and just for us define a simple route get patient, that's it, and define the controller. The syntax has changed a little, and I every time kind of I forget that. We can also name our routes patients.index. I think I have to provide the full path. Let's check. So this is the route that is registered with this controller and this method, and what this controller and method is doing is that it is returning this plain and simple blade template. So let's try to access that. Okay, so it means that our npm instance had stopped, and I think our artisan is running successfully, so we should see a page. What now? Invalid route action. Okay, as I said that we need the full path in the route definition, so there are two ways, one being added like this, or secondly we can use the use mechanism app/http/controllers/frontend and patient's controller. And second thing, that we also need to wrap this in a array like structure. We haven't added the semicolon. Now try and run this. So now it is running. Let's access the patient route. Patient information will be available. I don't know, sorry, I know that this is not the very beautiful design you have seen in a while, but still what we wanted to show is available. So let's say that we want to add a header to our card, patient information. patient information, and let's have a look at our layout, why everything is so much stretched. This is the navbar app. Okay, so we have our information to be displayed here. So like I said, let's recap everything. What we did is we created a migration file. Let's collapse everything first. We created a migration file, create patients table, and we added couple of fields to this, and then we ran the migration, and then we created a model corresponding to that table in the models directory and defined the relation for the user. And in the users model we also added the forward logic to the patients table or patients model. So we have built the relation. And then lastly, what we did is we added a controller in our front end directory for handling the patient's requests, and we created one model index wherein we just plain simple we return the index, and then in the routes we have added a patient route to our web route, and we can see the result. So I think this pretty much explains the basic of migration model, controller and route function. So that's it for this video, and let's meet in the next video where we'll be building a CRUD, entire CRUD part of this patient management or patient module or model, wherein we'll be creating a form to add the patient information, and then obviously edit that information and then update and delete. So every functionality that is required by the patient controller we'll build in the next video. So let's meet in the next video and learn something new. Thank you so much. Let us know about your comment, and let us know that how you feel and if there is anything that you want us to improve. So thank you so much. Please subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. Have a nice day. Goodbye.